most things I do lives about. I am kind of doing a response to a YouTuber. His channel is called Jack Morgan RLP, and I followed him for a year or two now. He has a few channels, and a video that he uploaded today was talking about a woman. And you know how people use clickbait in their thumbnails. I'm not faulting him for putting in the thumbnail like something akin to like 30-year-old loser female style or something to that nature. Hey, Pittsburgh guys, how are you doing today? And it brought up a lot of comments too, where people seem to be under the impression that women also don't get criticized for living alone, being childless, having no employment, or having no prospects of employment. I'm doing pretty well today, Pittsburgh guys. Thank you for asking. And um, I really enjoy going live lately, but hopefully soon I have a better setup and I'll be able to do better edited videos, especially when it comes to this reaction style content. I know me telling you what happened in the video and everything isn't the best, but I really appreciate you guys showing up and I'm glad you've been good, Pittsburgh guys. And this video in particular I'm talking about is on Jack Morgan's channel. And I should have written down the woman's channel, and I subscribe to her too. It was her first name, Makes Things, and she is describing her life about how she never completed school, higher education. She still lives at home with her parents, and she feels like, she's 32 years old and she's not going to be able to succeed at things, and why she lists off reasons like her health issues and other things that are impeding her that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And he didn't want to say it, I think, as much as he said on his second channel months ago, which caused me to unsub from him, which is like this red pill ideology. There is some truth to some red pill theology. I don't even think it should be called theology. I don't know why I said that. There is some truth to it. Like, that's why it is so insidious, I believe, and why it can permeate so many minds, because there's definitely truths to it, but it is poisoning people, especially young people's minds, in my opinion. But people of all ages, really. Men would be better off if they didn't think of women, such as like, okay, yes, women have always been considered losers. It's called being a spinster, being an old hag. We have terms for this. Like, there's no slur for being a man that lives alone and just works. That's where spinster comes from, is some of the first women that survived without a man when they were spinning, weaving fabrics, and they were, made fun of when they could live without the resources of a man and they chose to, which is interesting to think about. So some of the first women that could, they chose to do that, and then they were made fun of for that. But if a man does that, he's called a bachelor, right? Like, you don't call a woman a bachelorette when she's in her 50s and she's never been, married or whatever. But if a man is, he's a bachelor. So this misnomer of like, I don't know where it came from, that like women don't get made fun of for being alone and childless and all this. It's the the adult mediafied perception you have of women in your head. That's what you're thinking about when you're misunderstanding life of everybody. Oh, hey, Yoder, how are you doing? Hey, Addie, how are you doing? And hi, Nerd. Hi, Leonardo. And Sankey, okay. Fun fact, in ancient Rome, people used to apply charcoal on their lips instead of lipstick. That is really interesting. There is a YouTuber, Erin, I forget her full name. She like will mix up the actual rock. Sometimes it's like, oh, be careful, girl. She's like a real cosmetologist, and she will get, you know, like actual minerals and rocks and mix them up. And she has people telling her, like, you need to be careful with some of that, especially. But it is super interesting how they used pigments before. Yes, nerd. Good. It's good evening here, Govind. Is it morning where you are? Hi, Eduardo. No, I mean, I don't know. Like, feminism gets a bad rap because of third wave feminists and a lot of ridiculous things like radical feminists. No, I don't fall in line with a lot of those things, but this is more like true egalitarianism, trying to be like, women have always been treated the same. We're on the same level. We're on the same team. We suffer the same. We feel the same way you do, and we go through a lot of the same things you do. Just because some women are attractive enough to monetize that, and that market is so saturated now, it's not what it used to be. It's not as easy to monetize your youth and, sexuality as a woman. It's just not. There's more competition, and If you all really dislike that so much, you need to stop making the demand for it, you know? And I don't mean to point the finger, like, particularly, like, you know, I don't know what any of you in particular are doing, but the whole point is I'm just gonna say hi to everybody in the chat. I'm not really gonna be able to say hi to all the names. I really appreciate everybody that is here. And, no, I did not know that, Pog. That is very interesting if that is true, that the heart and, the PENIS are made of the same muscle. For real, look it up, he said. Gabby, Jesus Christ is coming soon. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm talking about this video in particular where this woman's video was featured where she's 32 years old and expressing how she's having a difficult time with life in general, that she still lives at home with her parents, she has no employment prospects. She does make some beautiful art. So this is another example of um yeah, okay, so of course, as soon as I bring up something, I'm all over the place now. In the video, he talks about food stamps and disability. This woman didn't bring up either. I don't know why he took it there, and then he asked his sidekick to look up how many people were on food stamps in 1980, how many people were on disability in 1990. I don't know why he asked about those particular years. And then, oh, that's interesting. Twice as many people are on food stamps and disability now as in 1980 and 1990. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And you don't even bring up the population increase, which, like, it's not double, but it is pretty significant, you know, in the tens of millions, almost 100 million increase in population. So, like, to discredit that and not even take into account like how much is being spent overall. And I made a comment saying, you know, you're not talking about population growth and you're not talking about corporate welfare. Like there's corporate oligarchs, billionaires are taking way more of our tax dollars here in the US than anybody that's on welfare, food stamps, disability is. And people like him that have this mentality, it is good. It's good to tell young people, especially like you need to work as hard as you can and like try to live beneath your means. And he promotes that kind of mentality a lot. But to this point now where it's becoming like out of touch, like a lot of people, he included, don't seem, oh, thank you so much, Jarek. That's so sweet of you. I really appreciate the super chat, Jarek. Thank you. And it's like he doesn't realize the people he's talking to. Okay, so wage stagnation is very bad here in the US. I am ignorant to the rest of the world. I am going to assume that in a lot of other first world countries, it's the same thing, where in the 1990s compared to now, housing, food, everything costs 3 to 4 times as much, while the wages have only increased once or twice. And that is the real problem. You can't keep telling people to just work harder when it's like impossible to do the things that it was possible to do 20 years before with the same wages, with the same job. And this is part of what makes people feel depressed. And of course, you are responsible for your own feelings, nobody else is. But at the same time, when you have such a large platform as his, and this is the kind of things he puts out, and it reminded me of I'm 38 years old, and my name is Lydia, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm missing your comments, Yoder, and everybody's comments that I'm missing. Sorry about that. I had to be on it for about a month, but it was embarrassing. Most people nowadays don't seem not to be embarrassed, but oh, Yoder, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'm so sorry. I'm like so all over the place. No, I don't really watch TV anymore. Previously on his second channel, this was months ago, Jack had made comments, and I actually have like an edited video where I did do a reaction to this because it perturbed me, that he basically said women, he understands men struggling in this economy, but he doesn't understand women struggling, because he's not saying to just like sell your body, but he's saying that any man, there's a man out there for any woman. If she's homeless, no matter what she looks like, if she's a few extra pounds, he'll take her, he'll shine her off. He literally said these things like a woman's a literal object, like talking like an object to put on a shelf. He'll take her, he'll shine her off. And I'm not saying like sell your body for money. I'm just saying to roll over and do it with him when he wants you to. He'll pay all of your bills. He literally said this. And yes, it's like slightly tongue in cheek. He considers himself a comedian. He's one of those. But we all know that it's like a lot of things people joke about, they are being truthful about, low key, right? And so that was like bleeding through with this video I saw today. caught of his with this woman I'm talking about. He wasn't talking about a woman in particular, or maybe he was in his original video where he's basically saying, I don't, and it speaks a lot. I'm not just like zeroing in on him. I think about all the men that share that mentality because it was really interesting. Around that time, I'd been following him for several months. He was definitely getting more red pill. In every video, he'd bring up like more red pillish shit. And then he met a woman and that stopped. And like now it's just like very rational, reasonable, like what I consider myself to be, like, yeah, you can see there's a rift between men and women, and there probably always has been to a certain extent. But for some reason, it is growing. It's not healthy. Like what is going on right now isn't evolving for the betterment of humanity, and we need to figure it out. Like what is going on? Where did we go wrong? Because that's the only way you're going to really heal is to get to the root of the problem, right? That's funny. People are talking about Shakira in here. Well, don't be sorry and don't feel like you're not smart. People, you need to learn about everything you don't know about. Bill Clinton was the last time we had a surplus as far as the national debt, Pittsburgh guys, and that, I don't think we'll ever see that again in this country's life. I mean, I don't think it's possible. Or our debt is so bad, it's so unsustainable, and it's something nobody talks about. Nobody was really talking about it, during anybody's administration. And it's like I guess a lot of people are kind of unaware of it. I'm from Kentucky. Are you from Kentucky, Aaron? And so I thought this was really interesting as a factory worker. If you didn't know, I work in a factory. I work on a assembly line. I work second shift. First shift is mostly women with just a few men. Second shift is mostly women. I mean, sorry, mostly men with just a few of us women. And I really care about everybody I work with. Everybody's completely respectable. I like the guys I work with. I don't feel like they look at the few women that work with them and are like, oh, your life is easier. We all do the literal exact same jobs. And I do understand and empathize with there probably are times where men are doing the heavy lifting for women in their jobs. That doesn't happen in my job. It's just easy all around. Like, I've asked one person to do something for me once as far as lifting a heavy box. And that's why I love it so much. It's just easy. And I know my limitations, especially with 2 going on 3 hernias right now. But like, so I do understand. I had an older coworker that's almost 70 years old express to me like it was annoying for him when women started coming into the same workplace and then having to ask for help from men. Anyways, I can really empathize with, oh, is Mr. Carey in here? Hey, Mr. Carey, how are you? You're in Independence, Kentucky, Aaron. That's neat. I'm in South Central Kentucky. I don't say exactly where, but I was born in Louisville. It's in northern Kentucky. Hey, HK, mister. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments in here. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody. And I'm pretty much done talking about. Okay, so I brought up in his chat, I'm like, in regards to the welfare and food stamps, like corporate welfare is what is really really affecting our lives to the point where, like, greatly affecting our lives and our children's lives and their children's lives. It's not the people getting disability and welfare that are taking from you. And then somebody wanted to give me a socialism, communism lesson, and I believe it's what most people would call coping. I don't use that term. I don't like saying that sarcastically to people, but this person was totally coping with the fact that our system right now is definitely late stage capitalism. That doesn't make me a socialist or a communist, pointing out that we're definitely at the end of an unsustainable something. And I don't believe it's free market capitalism anymore. And it hasn't been since at least 5 years ago when they told the smaller businesses that they couldn't stay open for business, but they let the major corporations like Walmart stay open for business. That's not free market capitalism. And it just like has continued to widen like the gap between, big business, small business, and now Trump with all the tax cuts, all the things he's given to major corporations with the most money is just going to further widen that gap. Hello to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I'm not really going through all the, oh my gosh, OR's live. Thank you so much for that. $9.99. That's so nice of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the super chats. I think I have pretty feet, and my husband thinks I have pretty feet, but I'm not going to show them to you. I know I answered like too many of those comments. I'm sorry about that, guys. What I've noticed the most in the workplace is the women around me take 5 to 7 bathroom breaks throughout the day for 10 to 15 minutes. I might get up once a week, well, not on break. Freaky firestorm. Oh, I'm sorry that happens. Yeah, that wouldn't fly. I like when I use the restroom because I'm one of those women, I go 3 or 4 times, but I literally 3 minutes. And I like jog to the bathroom and I wash my hands too and I jog back and like I make sure I'm back in 3 minutes. And I actually work with somebody that takes really long bathroom breaks and it's a male, but I do empathize with you and I believe you if you say that's what's going on, you know. I always believe the victims. I'm not laughing at that person, I'm laughing at myself. But I think like the people that have had hard jobs get it. Like there's good and bad people, right? There's hard workers that are male, there's hard workers that are female, right? That's what how it's been at every job I've ever been at. And the factories and warehouses I've been at, the people that have been there the longest for decades are females. And I've had a lot of people say to me, "I've seen nothing but females, like, climb up through the ladder." I've seen that a few times. I'm like, "Not at any factory or warehouse I've been at." It's like the people that are there for, like, a long decades upon decades are females. Yes, I can cook. I actually like to bake more than cook, but yes, I'm sorry I'm not really I feel like there's not much of a conversation going on, which is fine with me about what I was making the video about this freaky firestorm added to the chat, which is great. I want to make sure I'm not missing any more comments like that. Where Somerset. Oh, Somerset, Kentucky. Hey, Amy. Yeah, Maverick, I have 2 confirmed inguinal hernias and a possible 3rd incisional one because I just had a hysterectomy. The Unlimited Music channel. Hey, how are you? But I'm doing pretty good now, all things considered, you know? What's my take on the flooding and earthquakes happening simultaneously around the world currently? Well, Danny, I don't have a super strong opinion, but I do think it's definitely like climate change. And once again, I think we're at the end of many cycles, you know, and I think we're at the end of something. And like the the flooding is scary, how there's flooding in so many different states. Like every time I turn around, there's flooding somewhere else. And I definitely think it's signs of in my opinion, I feel like it is the world purging itself. I know that's a horrible thing to say when especially children are losing their lives, but more like the contaminants and, the way people are polluting the world than actually saying it's purging itself of people. I am from Kentucky and I live here now, and I'm known in my town to be the queen. I don't ask for respect, I expect it. Oh, I think I've seen Karen. I think I've seen that comment before. That's funny. Um, Unknown. You're so silly. Thank you, sir. I love all of you. Well, South Central Kentucky, it does get pretty cold, but it only snows a few times a year. It's perfect for me, like we get to experience winter. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm really congested, but I appreciate all you guys listening to me. I don't have a problem with it myself. I work hard and that's what matters, but our bonuses are group bonuses. We only get a bonus if everyone meets expectations. Yeah, I get it, Freaky Firestorm, for sure. Amy, most of the time they don't, but they can flare up. Hey, Tim. We are well overdue for an existential event. Yes, Bruce Wayne, the Great. I agree with that. And there's so many signs. I brought this up last night. I think 2012 was when I really started to feel and like notice differences, especially in the internet. And I think they're really trying to like control us since then. Hi, Robin. How are you? She was crazy, but most Kentucky women are. Aw. Well, I've known plenty of Kentucky women. I've lived in California, Florida. Well, I didn't live in California as a woman, so I shouldn't say that like I was an adult. But I think what I like the most about here is there's plenty of level-headed, hardworking people, and a lot of people that have gone without a lot. I brought up this family that moved to a new homestead. They call themselves, oh my gosh, Piney Fork Homestead, and it's actually in West Virginia. They said their location. I'm doing pretty well tonight. And, West Virginia is the poorest state. We are neighbors with them here in Kentucky. And I feel like people are charmed by people. It's more than Southern hospitality. I don't know. I personally, like, I think people from the South can be nice. I don't think they're like especially, and I guess the South does kind of start in Kentucky. Where do you guys think the South starts? Because it's interesting to me. Um, a lot of people would say Tennessee, but then what is Kentucky? Because it's not part of the Midwest, but I guess it is the South. The country women in Kentucky are crazy. Yeah, my friends, I don't know if I'd consider them country women, even though I live in the country myself, I've just known, like, working people, blue collar people. What would be a good approach if I were to mention to a female team member that I feel they are taking too much personal time on the clock? Well, I mean, can you bring it up to your manager? Like, and if I was in that situation, I would bring it up to the manager before I brought it up to the person. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. And then I know you don't want to like go to your manager with complaints about people, but if you're close enough to the person, yeah, just tell them, can you try not to take so much time in the bathroom? Okay, Pittsburgh guys. Lower Missouri in my head is where it starts and below. Oh, yeah, that's way south. And, like, it's funny to me because I know Florida is as south as it gets, but, like, when I think of the South, I don't think of Florida. Isn't that funny? I live there, but, like, I just when people talk about being from the South and then they say something about Florida, I'm like, I don't know. Florida is just like its own place. Florida is like its whole own region of our country. Like, it shouldn't be considered anything but Florida. Oh, Daniel, thanks. Totally different world than like what we were talking about, like 2012 or oh my gosh, especially hi Angel. I lived in on both coasts of Florida and in Orlando. I actually met my husband outside of Orlando, and then before that I lived in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and after that we lived on the West Coast together. So I couldn't get enough of Florida, but since we're not rich, we didn't really want to stay there because when it came time to buy a home, all we could afford where we were was a literal like retirement trailer home community. And I'm not making fun of that. That's like the literal only place our income could afford to buy a home in that part of Florida. And anyways, it was pretty close to the beach. I'm in Miami right now. Nice. Orlando traffic is horrible. Unknown. Oh my gosh, I forget that highway that runs. Yes, it's like one of the most fatal highways in our country, I believe. And yes, it is horrible. And and I do think like, especially the southern part of Florida that is the only subtropical zone of our contiguous United States. It is so special for sure, and Miami is a part of that. Oh, thank you, sir. How is Lower Missouri way south? You're scattered today, I think. You're extra pretty. Well, what is that like lower are you talking about, like, kinda like Lower Illinois, Lower Missouri? Just I don't know. Um, oh, that you don't get the food stamps. Well, I'm sorry, when I'm answering other people's comments, like, yeah, if I haven't just said what I'm saying and then I read somebody's comment, I do get confused easily. The South does include the southern and eastern part of Kentucky. Yeah, I do consider Kentucky. Central Florida and Southern culture. Coastal Florida belongs to the Yanks. That's interesting, Jared. That's a good way to put it. And I would agree with you. The whole eastern coast of the United States is definitely going to be considered the East Coast. Um, yeah, I have great moderators. Mr. Carey takes a really good job, really good care of the site. I guess I'm considering Missouri farther south than what I'm thinking it is. I know I've been to is Missouri where St. Louis is? And we just like drove across, Illinois to that probably is dumb of me to say that's really far south. Sorry. The Carolinas are awesome also. I haven't been to the Carolinas. I would love to drive across there and go to Myrtle Beach because I really don't want to drive all the way to Florida next time we take a beach vacation. And I'd like to just drive across the mountains. And cheaper, yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, I was talking about how some people are under the misconception that women seem to have it easier than men. But basically, I didn't really get into my theory that good about how, and I think I probably said this 100 times over to anybody that has been here. I have a husband of 15 years. um, it's the objectification of women, and we all do it. Women objectify women too. It's not just men that objectify women, but it's been proven in brain scans that when people see men and women alike, they have a bunch of different areas in their brain lighting up because you're taking in information because humans are complicated. And when you see a person, you're taking in a lot of data points about them. And instead of that, when people see women, only like one or two places in their brain are lighting up. And it's where you light up when you see an object. This is because women are so overly objectified. We are all expected, like, Jennifer Love Hewitt stepped out on the red carpet and she looks great. She's like 46 years old, I believe. She looks great. She still has her hourglass shape. She's not as rail thin as she used to be in her 20s, like most of us aren't. And whenever I am at my skinniest, that's also when I'm at my sickest too, you know? So like it's so of course everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people were, you know, bringing up her weight. She looks great. She looks healthy. She looks so good. And she's actually not messing with her face. And I'm really proud to see women age gracefully like her. And so it's basically objectifying women to the point where uh instead of seeing a human being that has to pay bills like you, that has to get up and clock in and clock out just like you, we have to do everything just like you. But because some of us, you know, do sex work, which I don't believe in. I don't think that's real work, and I'm not against the sex workers, but I don't promote that. I don't believe in that at all. I don't think it should be a thing, and I think it's a horrible thing that it takes place at all. But it's because of the nature of all of that and over objectifying women that people can turn around and be like, "Oh, you're not allowed to struggle as much. You object, you know, you're just like a pretty object." And if you're not that, that's your fault too. It's just insane. Um, you know, lose all self-respect over a few dollars. Yes, and it's horrible that it's promoted and women, you know, especially young women fall into that trap. It's really, really horrible. And we all need to speak up against it. Men need to struggle to even get a job interview. Cord flow. Yeah, well, that's the job market is hard for a lot of people, but and I'm not saying that men don't struggle. You know, I'm not here to say that men don't struggle at all. Like I understand men struggle. Wouldn't it be ridiculous for me to be like, well, the world is ran by men because this is the mentality of a lot of people, especially like radical feminists. The world is ran by men. Like you have all the privilege in the world and just assume that every white male is born with like all the privileges of Bill Gates. Like that's how some people seem to think, you know. I know better than that. I wouldn't ever think that. Much easier to show the assets and hold a job, just being honest. Yeah, but it's not really that sustainable. And now that the market is so saturated, so many women are doing it, they're not making that much money. And they promote this in a lot of like feminist type of publications. Like promoting OnlyFans is like a good thing to do when the average wage is like $1,300 a year. That's like the median. So a lot of women aren't even making $100 a month that are doing it and showing, you know, everything to everybody for not even $100 a month. That's not that wouldn't I know that's not worth it to anybody. And anybody that has better means of making money wouldn't be trying that to just make a few $100s. You know, the only women that are really making money off of it are women that already had a platform and they already have like millions of people that went to see them naked. Let's be real. Those are the only people that are really significantly profiting off of it. Besides a handful, a literal handful of other girls. And they skew that 1,300 number so much. Like most people probably aren't even making $20 a month, you know? It's like the girls at the top making so much money that people aspire to. It's literally more likely you'll win the lottery, I bet. Um, OnlyFans isn't helping Mr. Carey either. Hey, Jedi Assassin, how are you doing? Cordflow, I'm going to tell you what I tell my sons. I really do respect service members so much, and I don't ever want anybody to think that, like, anybody in my family disrespects anybody that serves for us and our country's freedom. But no, I don't want anybody I care about to join the military. No, and that's because of the way our government and you know, we've been in more wars than we have not, and the war machine makes all the rich people money, and that's the only reason why they do it at this point. Unknown, that's good that it's a waste of time and attention. It's a waste of your energy, really, and a lot of people would be best not to indulge in that, and I think it's completely unnatural to watch other people be intimate over and over, you know? I mean, like, to really, like, on a regular basis a lot. Hi, Kevin. And I'm sorry to everybody I haven't said hi to. Hi, Bilal. Um, there I go squinting, showing my wrinkly forehead. So don't protect our country. No, well, people are gonna sign that's what I'm saying. I really do respect the people that protect our country because I don't want anybody that I love to risk their lives fighting the rich people's wars. At the same time, protecting our country when need be, because they also do a lot of, you know, just plain old defense. Like we do need military. I don't agree with all the money they're putting into ICE, even though I do agree, that there does need to be some deportations. Like, there's nuances to everything. Two things can be true at one time, and that's one thing. Like the internet has taken from people, have made everything so binary, so black and white, and not everything is like that. Oh, unknown. I've had bad eyes for a long time. Like, when my great grandma was still alive, I remember, like, her prescription was better than mine, and she was, like, 92 years old. I believe I have a -6. I think that's right. Anybody that knows about prescriptions knows, like, every eye doctor's like, "Oh." I know it gets worse than that, but that's pretty bad. I wouldn't yeah, don't call them beans, no. Like, the illegal ones, like, it's unsustainable. Once again, I use that word a lot because that's, like, the theme of our country right now, right? Like, everything is unsustainable, and it's just nobody can let millions of people come through, and remember they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, that town in Ohio, I forget the name of the town in Ohio, but, like, it sounded very similar, and no, people weren't eating cats, I'm not saying that. And the town in, Indiana that I bring up, like, it sounded so similar to that. Like, I know there's towns all across America where they're just I feel bad almost saying, like, overrun, overtaken, but if these people had people come to their towns in droves the way that they do to some towns, they would consider the same thing. It's just it's not conducive to anybody's country running well, as well as it could, and that's not to be against immigration at all. You should definitely facilitate all the money they're spending right now on deportation and stuff they could be spending to actually help, help people immigrate here, and that's what's so horrible. There's complacency from administration for a long time, yeah. I'm a centrist, so I really do think they're both 2 sides of the same coin, like, Republicans and Democrats are working together, it isn't what it used to be. I hate to be so negative, but, like, I say it, and this is why I want to promote homesteading, and, my garden sucks right now, is, like, it is important to have your own little piece of the world when everything is going crazy because your environment matters more than all this out of course, what's going on outside of it matters. But if you can put yourself and have, like, a bunch of hobbies and chores that you're doing on a daily basis that make you feel productive and fulfilled, you're gonna be so much better off than concentrating on what is probably the end of the world. Yes, and I had grandparents that came here legally. Cord flow, I really like whole foods. Like, of course, I have an affinity for hot Cheetos. I can eat a lot of crap and, like, I really like chocolate, but the more I stay away from processed food, I like any, whole fruit, vegetable. I really, really like cantaloupe. I really like lentils as a source of protein. I've been making lentils, like, once a week. They're a great way to make a cheap meal, that'll last a few days. There were Europeans here way back. Right, like, yeah, that's true. I mean, the problem was when people started saying I guess I hate to say the problem was agriculture, but in a way it was, when people started farming food and then developing land and saying, "I own this big piece of land," when before we were all just coming and going, and, like, I've mentioned this a lot. I feel like I say this, it is a cycle. Sumerian tablets mentioned this earth goes in cycles, and I really do believe, like, we are clearly at the end. Can't speak Spanish, Mr. Carey said. Hi, Akash. Hi, Diamonds. I feel bad when I say hi to just a few people, but I don't say hi to everybody. Yes, Lucky, your world is only a safe place. The world is going to shit every day. Yes, it's true. And I hate to laugh at that, but like you have to have your own little world to a certain extent, right? There's a fine balance. You can't just sit in front of the news, that's for sure. Bring back the Getting Lucky in Kentucky t-shirts. Oh, that would be cool, Smiza. That's a really good idea. May I use that idea for merch? Because that's such a good idea I didn't even think about doing. Oh my gosh. Hi, Tiny VR4. Is that a channel? I always say if you have a channel, like say I have a channel and if you need some subs. But yeah, of course, no repeated spamming. I work in a factory and I do yard work when I'm in, when I'm not in recovery from surgery. That's my workout. But I really should work out more. And especially as a middle-aged woman, I need to start lifting weights because lifting weights is so important for your bone health, especially. And that's just something we as women aren't really taught. Oh, you're watching from Manila, Philippines. That's so neat, ICB. I love that. I had an aunt from the Philippines. She was so sweet. Oh, thank you, Taha. I really appreciate that. Friday must not be payday in other countries, AJ said. Or everybody's just in the same boat. Like we get paid and it all goes to bills, right? Like we getting paid is almost meaningless. Well, it's like a relief because your bills that were due that week are paid, right? Unknown's ex-wife is Filipina. Yeah, my Aunt Monette, that was her name. It was. She's still alive. And one of the sweetest people I ever knew. And are we talking about, oh, your ex-wife was Filipina and Japanese? Oh, that sounds like a neat mix. Examples approaching a person on live. Hi, how are you? Wow, you are such a nice person, Mr. Harrison. If you start working out, people are going to start falling in love. What do you mean by that, cord flow? Yeah, I mean, I know in a way I am like using my my face or whatever like to make YouTube content, but I don't want to use my body. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not ever gonna be one of those YouTubers. There's a lot of comments that'll be like 365 or like the twerk stuff, and it's like Tiny VR4 is a YouTuber, so people you should go sub to them. I'm all about subbing to channels, and that's another thing that kind of irked me about Jack Morgan's like when he was showing his reaction to this woman. I haven't spoken about it in like 15 minutes, but he showed the screenshot where he didn't subscribe to her, and I was like, "Ugh, the least he could do is subscribe to her. Like he's using her content and I watch a lot of YouTubers that just use other people's content. I mean, I'm just sitting here talking to you about other people's content. But I mean, I feel like I'm adding more of my original thought than a lot of these people that you just use TikTok compilation. You know what I mean? Like they'll have like 10 videos on the same subject matter, people's different varying opinions. And it's interesting to me. It's fun, but I couldn't imagine that being the only content that I made, and, like, I would be scared that at some point the monetization guidelines anyways, he's one of those people. He's, like, always made these compilations. He does a really great job at it. He is a great curator. He's got, like, dang near 200,000 subscribers right now, I think, so he knows what he's doing, and he does it well, but he has this attitude that it just kills me. As a man, like, you should be helping other men, not just telling them, like, "Come on, you can do it." Like, life's always been hard, and yes, that is true to a certain extent, but you can't say that life has always been this hard. You can't because the wage stagnation is so bad and everything costs 4 times more and we're getting paid once or twice as much. So, anyways, Dark Psyche was just scrolling someone with 1,000 views. All she was doing was shaking. Well, gosh, I hope she gets better. That sounds scary. Yeah, I wonder if she needed medical attention, right? Well, that makes me feel a little bit better about my low effort content, but yeah, I really do hope that that's true, that she's all right. But yeah, I really do want to share a lot more with you guys, and I have some fun stuff planned for the end of my break, but I'm not going to be live streaming, that will actually be like an edited video. And hopefully I won't make a factual error because my last one oh gosh, I was so annoyed with myself. I said this guy had a child that he didn't, which was completely stupid of me. And then somebody left a comment. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And then I like quickly looked it up. I was like, "Oh, now I see where I got things misconstrued." And that was so I redid it, and then it had like well over 300 views, and now it has under 100 still. And that just like really irks me. But I'd really like to get my edited content, get the views up on my edited content is the point. Hello from Ukraine. Oh, I hope you're doing well over there. And hi from France. Oh, clip YouTube France. Hi. I saw a young man yesterday crying and shaking, asking for likes. He had 1,000 likes. Gosh, that is so sad. Oh, that makes me so sad. Somebody said that they saw a young man crying about his bills, and I've thought that every day about that every day since. And that's the thing, like that's why I feel compelled to talk about to call people like Jack Morgan out. Like we've all struggled. He's been open about the fact that he's just like any other blue collar worker, anybody else that's worked their way up the economic ladder in America. Like he knows what it's like to struggle. He knows what it's like to have to move back in with your parents and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's still like quick to, in my opinion, he's like pointing the finger at people like, oh, all you have to do is just like work harder. And when so many people are suffering, especially mentally, women have the most freedom as from previous centuries. Women aren't even allowed to leave, weren't even allowed to leave the house and work in a factory. This was another level. Yes, and I do believe here in the US, we have like all of our legal freedoms, they have been attained. But there are several countries throughout the world where women aren't allowed to leave their house, without permission of whoever is in charge of them, and they aren't allowed to work, they aren't allowed to go to college, they aren't allowed to drive a car, they aren't allowed to talk in public. And it wasn't long ago in some of these countries, they were allowed to do all of those things, and that's the point of keeping this discussion going, right? Like, it can be a slippery slope, especially when we start to hold contempt for each other, and that's what I believe the red pill movement is doing to a lot of men, not all. And like I said, it can have some truthful messages, but, like, it is making a lot of men look at all women as something that, like, all women are not. It's you should never look at the opposite gender, completely generalizing them. Well, I wish university education was free here. I know it is in some yeah, in previous centuries. Okay, I'm sorry, Bonneman. But yes, in Saudi Arabia, that's one of them, right? Minimum wage is $7.25. It has been the same for 16 years. They might as well make it $2 because no one can survive on that. So it's a worthless minimum. Yes, exactly. And people have no compassion for the people that do the jobs that some of which we need the most. Not all of them. I know there's plenty of high-paying jobs that we really need, like the people that save our lives in medical situations. I just had surgery in April. So, but I brought this up a lot. This high earners gets brought up, but people shaming people that don't make six figures. Sometimes it gets brought up to be more around 80,000, I've noticed. And a lot of us don't make that much, and that's completely fine. We shouldn't be shamed. Like anybody that consistently works, has a good work ethic, I don't care what they make per hour. Like they have all of my respect. And that's part of what, oh, thank you for all the nice comments, everybody. Hi, Camilla. Oh, you're from India, Sarish. That is neat. I thought it was so cool. I showed my grandpa's picture of his guru the last night, and somebody told me who it was. I still need to look that up, but that was so special to me. Um, don't care. They judge based on my experience. Oh, you shouldn't be judged if you're saying you're a virgin. At 20, especially, that's so young. Yeah, nobody should judge you for that. I thought high risk HPV. Like, please be as careful with your body as you want to be. You're already on the right path. Like, seriously. Nobody should be encouraged to have casual sex, and that's part of the downfall of all of society, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. That an OFB get 100 times what a doctor earns say much about our society. Well, it is very few. Like, keep in mind, it's very few. It's like winning the lottery statistically for like the women on OF, like such few of them make that. And the ones that do make all the money, what is it about them that make all the money? Okay, so there's this one girl, I forget her name. She claims to be a virgin. I don't believe that for a second. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. And any of you that believe that this woman is using her body, selling naked pictures, that she's not sexual enough to do that. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe that for a second. All the women that are making the most money, if in my opinion, they look like children with big chests and butts, and that's really gross to me, and that also says a lot about, our society, and so just keep in mind, like, there's so many women that are trying to achieve that and are, and that's so sad, it really is sad, and I'm honest, like, I never did that, but I made mistakes when I was younger, and I'm 38 now, and I've known a few people that did things like cam work that told me enough about it that it's and even and the women that make millions of dollars, they come out speaking about how traumatizing it was too. Shelley Lubin was the name of the woman, I couldn't remember the other night, and she has passed away, unfortunately, but she was in adult media in, like, the late '90s, early 2000s, and she has a YouTube channel still, but she helped a lot of women get out of the industry. The average age, the life expectancy for women that participate in that industry is, like, 36 or something like that. And yes, a lot of those are overdoses still. It says it all. It says all you need to know about that. Um, Hi, Daniel. How are you doing? I do wanna cut my hair. I was thinking about cutting my hair, probably not on a live. I don't know, would that be fun to do it on a live? But I need to add some layers to it. I have a lot of hair, and I never go get it done professionally. The last time I got it done professionally was such a disappointment. The hairdresser's daughter was yelling in our ears the whole time, "Mom, we gotta go, we gotta go." I'm not kidding. "Mom, we gotta go." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is really bothering me." And, once again, like and I've heard a lot of people like, everything's going downhill, right? Like, literally everything, the quality and everything, the quality in clothes, like, socks get holes in them faster, the quality in services, everybody wants you to tip them. You have to tip people you never tipped before, and for, like, crappier service than you ever had before. Like, do a pixie cut live. No, Brian, never a pixie cut. Stephanie cuts her hair too. Yeah, oh, I bet she does. Roger, yes, I am definitely personally pro-life, but I do believe that women should have that choice. I'm a centrist in that way too. And yeah, what's going on right now with women's rights is not cool, and it was something that I didn't think would be taken this far. Just another example of the disappointment in this administration, because I did want Trump to win. I've even heard it argued fictional animated adult media is inherently ethical because no one is physically acted upon risk exploitation or trauma. I think that's one of the reasons why people like these childlike women and probably men too, but, like, it's that, hentai becoming like, they show, like, youthful depictions of yeah, it's all sick. It's all part of the problem. Women suffer in such agencies, overdose, STD, psychological trauma, everything is worse. Yes, dark psyche. Definitely. Somebody said once on one of my lives, they're like, "Oh, life is easier for you. Like you could get laid so easily." Like, and I know it was a troll-ish comment, but let's be real. Once again, this is the mentality. This is the way that a lot of people think. And I was like, okay, so it's easier for me to risk pregnancy, STDs, because women do get all those, our anatomy, the nature of it. Like we unfortunately get STDs and STIs more frequently than men. I don't know. But anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. Shot to the T, hey, how are you doing tonight? Well, I talked about what was in the title of my live, and now we're just chatting right now. I was gonna stay on here for about an hour, so about 13 more minutes. I really like to have conversations. I know they're not for everybody, and they are a little bit all over the place, but I really appreciate you guys. Dark Psyche, I'm in my 20s and don't want to marry anymore. It's hard to find a decent woman now. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, marriage is hard, but like it's worth it if you find the right person. And it really makes me sad to hear so many people say that. But at the same time, I can't fault you. And I made content recently talking about how it took me a while to see it, but I can see it more now that like I talk about adult media and the way it's affecting men and women, but more so men, but like women's egos are being negatively overinflated by social media. And I don't participate in social media, but there was a guy in here last night talking about how he thought this woman he was with was faithful and had like a low body count. I can't believe I'm saying that term. I feel like such an old lady like saying this new term. Um, but then he found out she had a lot of previous partners and she was like very flirtatious on top of that. And it's just like it's just so wild to me. So many I'm gonna sound like a Bible thumper. So many women are so filled with the Jezebel spirit, and it's a sign of like lost souls. They are lost. They are searching for attention they didn't get, probably from their dad, but possibly from somewhere else. And um, when life gets hard, you'll be, especially now with the way things are in the economy is, I don't want to say like, get married just because it's hard to pay the bills, but like it is even more reason to try to partner up with somebody, and then it makes me sad that so many people are having such a hard time. Food for thought. Asking why and why not is something I learned young. Surreptitious Synchronicity said, "Do you have a channel?" Am I saying that right? Surreptitious Synchronicity? I don't know that word. Hi to everybody coming in. No, I don't really have any single friends, not really, besides a gay man. He's the only friend I have that's technically, like, single. Oh, Frosty Cupcake, have you been in here before? I wanna say Frosty Cupcake does sound familiar. Mr. Carey does a great job overall, but I usually wait until people are in here, like, 2 or 3 times before I make them a mod. From Chicago, hey, Joe. Or are you Nick? Is that what you're saying? You're Nick? Hi from Saudi Arabia. Hi, Miss Moody. Oh, everybody's being so nice tonight. There's like hardly been any troll comments, any comments about obvious signs of aging in a 38-year-old woman. Hey from North Carolina. Hi, NC Matt. Social media has boosted their ego, attention, and fun is more important now than loyalty and love. Right. It's like the feelings, the delayed gratification that comes with, like, really bonding with somebody, like, you don't get that until you do it, you know, like, that it sounds so dumb, but, like, until you're really with somebody for, like, 10, 15, 20 years and you, feel the bond of that, you might not realize how special it is if you never had an example of that. Oh, you just turned 30. Congratulations for being in your 30s. I think 30s are the best yet, but I'm sure I'll say the same thing about 40s. You found a great woman to bond with, Dante. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. They are out there. Thank you, John Cron. And I told somebody last night, you know, like I'm trying to teach my sons right from wrong, like aren't we all? And I'm really proud of my 15-year-old. And I know that there's other parents saying the same things to 15-year-old girls or girls in his peer group. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people sitting their kids down and being like, okay, you know, like this is fake. Like there's people I watch a video about Gen X stare. Have you guys heard of that? People talk about how that generation tends to have this blank stare quite often, and I think I have experienced that. And I saw a comment that was super interesting by a teacher who said, "I've taught different age groups, and in my opinion, it's this particular age group was raised so much with a screen in front of their face that they emote so differently than people who you know, were usually if a word or something was being spoken to them, most of the time it was like a person, a human face, and you're like emoting back. You mirror people a lot when it comes to body language stuff. And when we're just like looking at a screen, we have a flat affect and then more so. And I thought that was super interesting. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I think she's right. Like when it comes to young people who are working jobs, like they can come off as rude. And, you know, as an autism mom, I'm not going to like completely peg them as rude right away. I don't know what's going on with them, but like I've just noticed people of that generation, they do. They tend to like do this blank stare thing. You know what I mean? I've been married for 15 years, Southern Horseman. And then somebody says, "Are you single, Barney?" Or I could have been the old Virgo cosplayer, ACC, and wanted to be respectful. Surreptitious synchronicity. I really hope I'm saying that right. True dark psyche feelings have taken a driving seat. It's part of like the world of convenience. You know, only in a world where you don't have to work as hard as you used to. Some of us do, right? But like a lot of people don't. In a world where things are so darn convenient and you even like at one store to get everything you need, like that's something that's pretty modern that happened just a few decades ago, really. You know, 100 years ago, people had backyard gardens and there was no such thing as a store like Walmart that had literally everything from automotive goods, tools to food, toys. Yes, autism does suck. I have Asperger's, so I understand. And it's not, you know, the way that it affects our kids, that's what I mean by that. I think that it can also bring with it great gifts and like the hyper focus and everything. But anybody that doesn't understand, like anybody that's like, oh, like shaming parents, like any parent that is complaining about it, they most likely, I don't want to speak for anybody else but myself, but they have a kid that they hope can get to the point where they can argue with people on the internet. When it comes to like adults on the autism spectrum that want to jump down parents' throats because we can't seem to say anything right about anything, you know. I don't mean to be mean, but you know what I mean? It's like Like, just even speech therapy, don't label your kid, like, don't, like, make them like a monkey, which I do understand to a certain extent, like, certain, like, ABA, like, wasn't for us, but to, like, write off all therapies, it's like, "No, we're just trying to, like, get our kid to the point where you're at, where they can express themselves and verbalize things like you're doing right now," you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. I have AEC syndrome, super rare, Dante. I've never heard of that. I don't know how that affects you, but I hope you're doing well. Shot to the T. I've had multiple occasions where a younger kid has tried to make change for an order at the drive-thru and they struggle and give up and round up. LOL. Aw, yeah, I'm sure that has a lot to do with like Common Core math. Maybe I'm not sure, but I wouldn't doubt it. I wonder. I don't do tarot reading, no. Um, I do feel like that's, in my opinion, that stuff is a little bit more negative, or at least I attract negative stuff when I do those kinds of things. So I am not into that personally. But it's kinda like I was, like, pro-life for myself, but, like, pro-choice for everybody else. Not trying to say, like, it's all evil, I just feel like I have odd energy in that way. Thanks, Mr. Carey. Oh, you're in North Carolina too, Dante? That's cool. It is 11:16 here at night. It's Eastern Time Zone is where we are at right now. Well, guys, I think you take everything back, P World Mama. I think I'm about done talking. Oh, hey, Nathan. I don't know if I've had a cold for 10 days or just allergies. I need to start taking allergy medicine, but Yoder sent 5 gift memberships. Yoder, that's so nice of you. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so did you get to pick who you sent them to? I'm so glad you did that. I really need to get on it with the memberships. I promise I'll do that before I go back to work next week. Oh, no, no practicing doctor here. Good night, Dark Psyche. It was nice talking to you. Um, I'm definitely going to have to do a members only live soon. Now I have like at least 6 members, right? Oh, did I get 1,000 the real Dean? Or are you just saying that? Sorry if you're not just saying that because I was at 930 something when I logged on here. And, when I get like 60 or 80 in a night, I will lose 10 or 20. Like, until I'm at like 1,050, I'm not going to really count it. You know what I mean? Most of Kentucky is in the Eastern time zone, Mr. Carey. Some is in the Central. I know that from Instacarting. Yeah, you know that. Yeah. Yeah. Russell County. I don't know what's so funny about that. But it was fun talking to you guys. I hope I made my point clear that, like, we're all in this together. That's the whole point. Like, men suffer, women suffer. Of course, we suffer in different ways. And I bring up this He and She book all the time, especially when it comes to becoming an adult, that time of your life, especially. But, like, the day in and day out, like, we're all going through a lot of the same stuff. And if we can join forces and quit like repelling each other like opposite magnets. Stop saying things like, women don't suffer, shouldn't suffer because life is easier for them because like 0.01% of them make millions of dollars off of OnlyFans. Just think about you're supposed to be the logical ones. Be logical. Like, think about what that thought process. Like really, really think about it. And think about the women in your lives, your mother, grandmothers, aunts, cousins, sisters, peers, classmates, coworkers, friends, girlfriends, sisters, cousins, moms. It goes on and on, right? All of those women, how many of those women have it easier because they're using their bodies? And it's a tale as old as time. A lot of the women that are sincerely using their bodies, like it doesn't go well for them. I've never known a woman personally that was a stripper or anything like that. And like things went well from there on. The last woman, okay, this is kind of an interesting story time. Although I don't know, maybe it's not that really interesting. This is going to sound really weird. I look like a doppelganger of your sister. Oh, that's interesting, JT. I'd love to see your sister. Somebody else said that I had a doppelganger in Texas. Are you in Texas? So I made friends with this homeschooling mom, and she was super interesting. And it was just like, I almost wonder if she had a semi-permanent form of birth control removed because I swear I've known a few women in my life that had their birth control undone and they like turned into different people. This is a phenomenon that needs to be studied. And I'm not even making light of it. It's awful what has happened to some people. And this woman in particular, she divorced her husband and she at first she was just stripping to get through accounting school, right? It's to get through accounting school. A few years later, the last time I came across her profile, oh my goodness, she had gotten a a breast augmentation, which is fine, that's your choice or whatever. See, this isn't the same unless you know the person, but I was just, like, really taken aback that this person did that, and she had gotten with a bouncer at the club and was raising a baby he had with another stripper. Not even her baby. Like, he had a baby outside of their relationship while they were together, and then the stripper dropped off the baby, and they're raising the baby together. Um, so that's, like, what I think about when I think about sex workers, and she wasn't doing the accounting thing, and she was smart, you know? Like, anybody that's going to school for accounting is smart. That's not easy. The old ways of Native Americans would give the women elders authority because it was considered women to be more level-headed and less impulsive. Men think with two heads, my friend's mom said. Surreptitious synchronicity. That is so true. Somebody asked me earlier, I made a comment in regards to like something about the like chopped meal epidemic or whatever. They're like, why don't you go on a campaign? I think they were being a little sarcastic. Why don't you go on a campaign about this for young women? And I was like, actually, I am speaking about this whenever I can, like my little platform that I have. And it a problem is we don't revere the wisdom of older women the way that we should, or a lot of us don't. If you were fortunate to have good grandmas that gave you good advice, that's great. But it's something that's been lost in society, and it goes hand in hand with like, seeing wrinkles on a woman's forehead and like pointing it out right away, which I know trolls will be trolls, trolls will be trolling, but it's like it's just so natural to judge a woman for aging when we need to be, oh, she's lived decades. She's probably mothered or nurtured, whether you're a biological mother or not, as a woman, you probably played your role in nurturing a lot of lives at a certain point, and you might have a lot to offer. You do have a lot to offer, and so, yeah, women bring balance. We do bring balance to each other, right, Roger Lee? I've said this a lot. My husband has taught me how to, be more like a man in the ways that I think are good, and I'm still learning. From what I saw from the title, that's my answer, Jamie said. I think a girl's life isn't easier than a man's, but a man has harder work. Well, J memes, I think now with industrialization, like those things are kind of evening out. Like some men do have harder work. Yes. There's like the oil rig jobs. I will give you that. Construction, logging, the jobs with the highest rates of death are mostly men, like 99.9% men. Yes. But please take into consideration when people say those things like men do all the hardest jobs. We as women that give birth, we're risking our lives every time we give birth. I gave birth to 3 children, 3 boys. Every man that comes into this world is because a woman risked her life to give him life, and thank goodness it's not as I love that there's like this celebration thing. Thank you guys. It's not as common as it used to be. It could be a lot less common, especially if we put obstetric crash carts in each labor and delivery room, like Dr. LaGroove did in California in his county, significantly improving outcomes. But we don't, for some reason, we don't want to improve the outcomes of maternal and infant mortality rates for some reason in this country. But anyways, Nick, happy birthday, Nick. I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, can I say that out loud? I don't think that's anything bad. Thomas, men should do most jobs to be breadwinners for stable families. Simple. Yes, and, like, my husband did that for me to stay at home with our kids for years, and at a certain point, I got a job, and so I do agree with you, like, I think gender roles shouldn't be rigid though, and the most successful marriages are going to be more fluid in that you will have your certain roles that each is better at, but when it comes to like making money in this economy and stuff, you should be able to lean on each other. Um, we're going to have to be, but I understand where you're coming from with that. Most situations, I think that would be ideal for most people, right? Giving birth is a choice, though. That's a ridiculous comparison. Well, working on an oil rig or working in construction or working in logging is also a choice. Nobody's holding a GUN to their heads. And it's actually more of a choice to do those things because, like, we have to give birth. Yes, women have to. For anybody, like, what did come first, the chicken or the egg? You know, like, we have to give birth for you to even have the men to do the hard jobs, right? The female brain has even evolved to forget how painful childbirth is. It's that bad, guys. Hell of a football injury. Yeah, it is amazing. I gave birth naturally once, and it is amazing, how bad it gets, and then you get over they call it the wall, and it's so true. Like, you literally hit this wall in your mind where you're like every woman that's given natural birth describes it. You think, "I can't do this." Oh my gosh, you get so completely overwhelmed, and it's everything breaks, and you're like, "Completely fine, everything's fine." Things usually pick up from then, and, yes. You have to give birth. The US birth rate is spiraling down. Oh, Zorro. Well, I think I empathize. I completely support people whether or not they decide to give birth because I do not fault anybody for not doing it now, but I've done it 3 times and I can't do it anymore because I have no uterus. Hey, Nora, that's such a pretty name. You don't see that much. I'm saying, okay, in theory, somebody has to give birth in order for us to even be sitting around talking about like the hard jobs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you are right, Zorro. Like, nobody has to. Nobody's holding a GUN to their head either, right? But that is more important than the construction jobs when you think about it. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. You have to have that to even have the people to build the society, right? We had it coming just like Japan. There's no work-life balance anymore. Yes. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about that play, Hamilton? I never saw that. Wasn't it like a musical? I never saw that. I know some people are like obsessed with it. Hi, Fen Fenezes. Well, guys, I'm going to get going for real now, and I will be back on tomorrow, and I really appreciate you. Are we at 1,000? Can somebody tell me is like what my exact subscriber count is before I get off of here? Because if I have this many likes, I'm thinking, um, Zorro, it's a ridiculous comparison. I have one past 1,000. That's so nice. Oh, so this is a celebration. I didn't think I would necessarily get to 1,000. And like I said before, I'm sure I'm going to be at like 990 or something. It's possible. It's quite possible in the morning. One of my favorite YouTubers earlier was live, and she said the more genuine you are, the more fluctuation you'll have in your viewership. And that's what I really appreciate here. I really do feel like we are cultivating a community because it's not just me sitting in front of a screen and it's like a lot of you guys and keeping the conversation going and the fact I can have like one paragraph of notes and we can sit here and have an hour-long conversation. And like last night when I was complaining about my hernia and the way you guys supported me was so sweet and special and I appreciate you so much. And yeah, so I'm gonna go. I really do feel like we're on the right track here, and I'm gonna keep this thing going. And I appreciate you all. Everybody that subbed, I hope you stick around. I promise. I'm just gonna like improve quality and like everything from here on out. Oh, thank you so much for the nice comments. I'll see you guys soon. Love you. Good night.